Part 49. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 483. Han Qian and Nuan Nuan were very harmonious when they were sleeping on the same bed, and the scene was very sweet. But now they are sleeping on the hotel bed with Tong Yao, and the scene always feels a bit weird. Tong Yao is sleeping in the back with the quilt, occupying only one bed. A quarter of his body was facing away from Han Qian, wrapping himself tightly. Han Qian was lying next to the bed, and the open space between the two of them was perfect for playing basketball. A string of cell phone ringtones woke the two of them up. Tanjio opened his eyes and turned over to see that this guy was still sleeping. His white and tender feet gathered strength, and then with a pop, Han Qian was kicked out of bed. Han Qian, who was kicked out of the bed, looked at Tanjio angrily. "Road. What are you doing? I rented a room. I can do whatever I want. Do you still have a reason to stay overnight? Pick up your phone and get out of here. I'm too lazy to look at you." Tong Yao huddled under the quilt and shouted angrily at Han Qian. Han Qian was not angry at all. He sat on the ground and curled his lips. "I don't know who said it yesterday." "Ah." A quilt covered Han Qian inside, and then his fists, palms and feet came into battle. Han Qian covered his head in defense. Seeing that the monster showed no intention of stopping, Han Qian shouted angrily and lifted the quilt. "Enough. Enough for your sister." Nursery rhymes. "Oh shit. Oh." The man let out a cry of pain and the woman let out a scream. Han Qian covered his mouth and glared at Tanjio. Tanjio covered her feet and sat on the stall. At this moment, she had put on a bra and underwear, covering her two white feet. Her eyes were full of water mist. The girl's toes kicked in. It broke Han Qian's teeth. The skin on his big toe was broken and bleeding. Han Qian was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He threw off the quilt and picked up Tong Yao and walked into the bathroom to wash the wound. Tong Yao stared at Han Qian with red eyes. "I don't owe you, Han Qian, anymore. I don't owe you money, I don't owe you favors, I don't owe you anything." Han Qian nodded lightly. "I owe you. I don't need it. What you said doesn't count." "Han Qian. Can you be more reasonable? I don't like you, and I won't marry you. Let me see who dares to marry you." Putting Tanjio on the ground, Han Qian went back to bed and put on the clothes Tanjio bought yesterday. When he looked up, Tanjio was glaring at him with a pair of scissors in his hand. Han Qian panicked, picked up his phone and kept backing away. Nursery rhyme rushed towards Han Qian with scissors in hand. Han Qian got on the bed, rolled over, and ran away. Listening to the sound of the door closing, Tong Yao threw away the simplicity in her hand. She would definitely do what she said, no matter whether the scissors could be used or not. With a sigh, Tong Yao sat on the ground and stared blankly at the closed door. Her mind went blank. She said she didn't like Han Qian, but in the end she didn't reject him. She looked at Han Qian, who was struggling to hold on in the bathtub. Man, she really relented. He was already very tired and had worked very hard. Maybe what I did was wrong, very wrong and unforgivable, but Tong Yao has no regrets, not at all. I took a deep breath, put on my clothes, fixed my messy hair in front of the mirror, and clenched my fists to cheer myself up. Nursery rhyme. Come on. You are the best. Yeah. Teacher Tong is the best. Tong Yao turned around and glared angrily at the man with half of his face exposed at the door, then smiled. His eyes were as charming as silk, and she shouted, "Jiao Didi. Come on. I have something important to do today, poor monk. Let's put aside the grievances first. Let's put it down first, child monster, did you really buy a condom?" Tong Yao was stunned for a moment, and then looked at the small box that had fallen to the ground at some point. She was immediately ashamed and angry. When she looked at it again, Her eyes were full of murderous intent, and she made a sound between her teeth. Han Chien. After saying that, he took off his high heels and threw them at Han Chien, who slammed the door again. Tong Yao was so angry that his face was livid. As for crying, she wasn't going to cry because of Han Chien, so she closed her eyes and took a deep breath again. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Just don't be angry. Someone will call you later to ask you about running a school. Remember to pick up the phone. The relationship with the Education Bureau is more difficult. The procedures will be sent to you in the afternoon. I have to leave first. Yes, I was hit by King Hu's car. Roll. Okay. This time Han Chien really left. If he couldn't leave, Cai King Hu had already called him more than 10 times. If he didn't show up, the eldest sister would go to the Yamen gate to locate him. When she went downstairs, she called Cai King Hu. Guess, I can explain that I crashed into a car yesterday while driving drunk, and my driver's license was revoked. I had no choice but to run away. Well, I applied to scrap the car. It put my husband-in-law in danger, so there is no need to keep it. This, more than 1 million. I'm more curious about where you are now than more than 1 million. Be at the city bureau in 5 minutes. Han Chien didn't dare to say where he was. If Cai King Hu wanted to check him, he could find him right away. Han Chien didn't dare to say that he was staying in a hotel. If the room check turned out to be nursery rhymes login information, his world is not far from destruction. When Han Chien arrived at the city bureau, Cai King Hu was standing at the door of the compound. Before Han Chien walked up to him and apologized, Cai King Hu apologized first. "Ms. Sir, I'm sorry, I let you down. I was so reckless that I ran away with a cannon." Han Chien didn't speak. He looked Cai King Hu up and down. She was wearing a bit tight clothes today, and Han Chien frowned slightly. "You are hurt." When the words came out, Cai King Hu became nervous instantly and stuttered back in a low voice. "No. No injuries, just minor." "Where is the injury? How did it happen? Is it serious? Have you gone to the hospital?" While talking, Han Chien pulled Cai King Hu to go to the hospital. Cai King Hu pulled Han Chien and explained quickly. No, I just accidentally fell down and cut my leg while chasing Go Cannon downstairs. It's not serious." Han Chien looked at Cai King Hu and frowned. "If you dare to rush forward in the future, we are just the same thing. Let the case of hooking up with the cannon go away. I will leave Cheng Jin to others. From today on, you can either investigate whose dog or cat is lost. Either way, you can resign." Seeing Han Chien's anxious and angry look, Cai King Hu felt sweet in his heart and took Han Chien's hand and said coquettishly, "I resign and you support me. I raise you. The Lun family likes cars. The Lun family wants to buy an R8. Purchase." Cai King Hu smiled innocently. She knew that Han Chien didn't have so much money to buy the car she liked, but seeing her husband's confident answer without even thinking about it made Cai King Hu feel very sweet. Cai King Hu drove Han Chien to the company. On the way, Nuan called Han Chien and asked Han Chien coldly where he went last night. Han Chien answered honestly. "Yesterday I was drinking at Wei Tianquan's house. On my way out, the drunk driver hit the Maserati in King Hu. Later, Suliang went to pick me up." "Were you in a car accident?" Han Chien, I remember your driver's license was detained for 6 months. There is such a thing. Then why weren't you careful? The car crashed badly? If Cai King Hu is trying to show off, just tell me that it's a broken Martha. I'll pay for it. Are you going home from get off work today? Go home. Then I'll buy groceries tonight. Good. I'll pick you up after get off work. Good. You should resign with honor. This is not good. After Nuan hung up the phone, Cai Qinghu turned to look at Han Qian, narrowed his eyes and smiled. Mister, that Suliang of yours still wears perfume. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 484. Chapter 483. Han Qian prevaricated and said that he got the smell of perfume while sleeping in Yan Qingqing's lounge, and then Cai Qinghu whispered. I don't smell it. Han Qian glared at Cai Qinghu. When they arrived at the company, Cai Qinghu followed Han Qian to the general department. Cai Qinghu immediately attracted everyone's attention when she entered the general department. She was already used to special treatment. She pulled Han Qian's chair and sat in front of the computer. He pointed at the computer and said disgustedly. Mister, do you sit in front of the computer every day? Are you bored? As soon as Han Qian picked up the water glass, Yao Shui handed Han Qian a cup of milk tea. Han Qian took the milk tea and thought about it, then handed it to Cai Qinghu, and then smiled at Yao Shui. Sister Shui went to buy it early in the morning. Yao Shui replied with a smile. I passed by this morning and bought a few drinks for you. You three are the only ones standing in front of our women when in danger. You have to buy them. This sentence made the faces of many young men in the general department who wanted to join in the fun darken. Yao Shui's personality was not as gentle as hers. Han Qian smiled softly, then knocked Cai Qinghu's head and whispered. When someone gives you milk tea, don't you know how to say thank you? Cai Qinghu said thank you, Yao Shui smiled, and things passed like that. Yang Lan was slightly startled when he saw Cai Qinghu when he walked into the office, and frowned at Han Qian. Han Qian understood and softly told Cai Qinghu to go find him first. Yan Qingqing, he will go over in a while, leaving only the members of the general department. Yang Lan briefly talked about the company's recent evaluation of the general department. There are mixed reviews. Most of them say that the general department cannot operate normally without Han Qian and Suliang, so Yang Lan took on a new task. Hearing that there was a new task, everyone in the office lay on the table, begging Yang Lan not to take on the task like a child. After just a few days of relaxation, why did it start again? After that, Yang Lan announced another thing. Han Qian and Suliang will not participate in this task. Deputy Lu and I will lead you to complete it together, Han Qian. You. Han Qian looked at Yang Lan with surprise on his face and said softly. Am I being put on leave? Yang Lan shook his head. Mr. Yan's assistant has found another job. You have been temporarily transferred to be Mr. Yan's assistant. Han Qian was stunned. Full of confusion. Assistant? Have you obtained my consent? Yang Lan pressed Han Qian's shoulders with both hands, turned his body and pushed him out of the general department. After Han Qian left, there was a wailing in the general department, shouting that Yang Ian's mother didn't feel sorry for them anymore. Then she knew that Yang Lan went back and said what, the general department is quiet. At this time, Cai Qinghu should be quarreling with Yan Qingqing. Han Qian doesn't want to go there. Other departments are busy. Han Qian doesn't want to do free labor. He doesn't get paid at work. He can be lazy if he can. He has to work for a few months. Just 1 year. I arrived late and left a lot early, and I didn't see any pay. No one knows what is supporting Han Qian to persist in glory. He sat in the lounge area of the lobby on the first floor, smoked a cigarette and made a phone call. Lao Luo, I haven't contacted you for a long time. I miss you. Han Qian is not formal at all, Luo Shander replied angrily on the phone. Uncle Han, what are you trying to do to me? Lao Luo's body is old. Look at what you said, aren't you always strong? Let me introduce you to 2 little ladies. The Russian ocean horse has a very strong physique. Han Qian was chatting informally, and Luo Shanda said angrily in a low voice. If you have something to say, tell me something. I was drugged last night and almost died outside. Luo Shanda was silent for a while and said in a low voice. Need my help? Han Qian smiled. You're enlightened. Let's not talk about the drug for now. I'll give you a number. You can contact this little girl. She wants to set up a school, preschool education. You can help her with the procedures. I don't have anything else to do. Son. I know, I heard that Guda Pao escaped. Please be careful. I know, I know. While answering, Han Qian saw Meow Meow. This woman made Han Qian feel like a nightmare. At the same time, he felt a little angry. He hung up the phone and stood up, pulling a chair towards Meow Meow at the door of the company. Meow Meow is the host and has a very strong psychological quality. She has seen many big scenes with Wei Tiancheng, but she has never seen a man who was dissatisfied with him dragging a chair towards her and looking at the chair. It hit and Meow Meow let out a scream. Master Han, I was wrong. Wrong. Han Qian reached out and grabbed Meow Meow's hair, and said with a sinister smile as his head collapsed twice in a row. Wrong? Just one sentence is wrong. You know I was hit by a car, right? Do you know how much I suffered? Wrong. I made you wrong, I made you wrong. A series of brain breakdowns forced Meow Meow to burst into tears. Liwa looked at Han Qian with rain and choked up. Master Han, don't play in one place, it hurts. Han Qian frowned. Why should I play you if it doesn't hurt? I have no place to use my energy. Come here. Meow Meow took 2 steps back. It was not Han Qian who was afraid of her, but she was afraid of Han Qian. This man was not a gentleman at all. Then Meow Meow took out 2 cards from her bag and presented them with both hands. Master Han, there are 5 million in total, and you left 2 million at home yesterday. The password is at the back. Han Qian didn't pick up the card. Meow Meow suddenly stepped forward. Han Qian was startled. The 2 cards fell into Han Qian's hands a second later. Meow Meow turned around and ran away, crying as she ran. His forehead was bruised. Passers-by looked at the crying girl, but Han Qian curled his lips at this. Scorpion's tears will kill you next time I see them. Han Qian would definitely accept the money. He felt no guilt in his heart. He went to the bank opposite the company and transferred the money to 2 cards. He returned to the company and went straight to Yan Qingqing's office. When he opened the door, he saw Cai Qinghu leaning in Jijing's arms. Her legs were put on Yan Qingqing's legs, her pants turned into a skirt. Yan Qingqing was looking at the injuries on her legs carefully. Seeing Han Qian come in, Cai Qinghu quickly pulled down his skirt to cover his leg injury, lowered his head and whispered. Ms. Gong. Han Qian glanced at Cai Qinghu and frowned. You don't have to go on missions anymore, I will tell Cheng Jin. Ms. Sir, me, that's it? After saying this, Han Qian walked to the sofa. Jijing stood up and wanted to give up her seat, but Han Qian pushed her down on the sofa. He took out a card and handed it to Yan Qingqing. I want 2 million back, you keep it first. After saying this, he looked towards Cai Qinghu. Don't you want to buy an R8? Teach me how to buy it. Don't apply for scrapping of that Masha. Repair it and give it to me and I'll give it away. Cai Qinghu slowly turned his head and said doubtfully. Who are you sending? Teacher Tong, it's not safe to take a taxi all the time. Oh. Let me make a call, Husband, do you want to buy an R8? Do you know how much that car costs? I saw it, and the cheapest one costs 2.4 million. As soon as he finished speaking, a card appeared in front of him, and Han Qian chuckled softly. Be obedient and everything will be fine. There are 3 million in this card and the remaining 600,000. And gee, you can choose a house. It's not a problem to rent a house all the time. After finishing speaking, he stretched out his hands and put them on the heads of Jijing and Cai Qinghu, laughing softly. Don't save money for me, I make money faster than you. Should I buy a white R8? No. I want to buy colorful ones. Han Qian was too lazy to talk to Cai Qinghu, when Cai Qinghu suddenly spoke. Then what will you give me? If you have no money, will you give me your body? Do you want me to slap you both? Han Qian, who said the wrong thing, was tortured by Yan Qingqing for a whole day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 485. At Han Qian's strong request, Cai Qinghu bought a car and chose this year's latest model R8. The price was as high as 2.6 million. Cai Qinghu's heart was bleeding. If it was her own money, she would not even blink. Blink, but this is what my husband earned. Cai Qinghu looked at Han Qian with tears in his eyes and choked with sobs. My husband, you are the best, if you can let me continue. No, I cannot. Cai Qinghu's eyes were filled with resentment. He handed the card in his hand to Jijing and whispered. Would you like to choose a house in your newly developed property in honor? After saying this, Jijing was a little moved. She raised her head and looked at Han Qian, who smiled bitterly. What do you think I'm doing? I'll buy you a house so that you can live comfortably by yourself. Then I'll let Nuan decorate it for you. Jijing looked at the card in her hand and whispered. Then you don't have any pocket money in your hand. Han Qian slapped his forehead and turned around. Mr. Yan, give me some pocket money. Yan Qingqing was furious on the spot. She stepped on the sofa with her shoes on and rushed towards Han Qian. Han Qian quickly opened his arms to catch his aunt. Yan Qingqing's legs were wrapped around Han Qian's waist and one hand was around Han Qian's neck. Holding his short hair with his other hand and roaring angrily. You bought a car for Cai Qinghu and a house for Jijing, and now you ask me for pocket money? Why? Han Qian, tell me why. Do I owe you what I deserve or what I owe you? How much? 500. What's that enough for? 500 yuan is gone in one trip. Then, 600. Yan Qingqing jumped off Han Qian's body, trotted to the desk, took out her wallet and took out a wad of cash. I guess you have no money to spend these days. You must be too embarrassed to ask Nuan for money. I will give you 2,000. You should eat and drink. You should buy cigarettes. They are good for your throat and you can't quit. I don't want you to quit smoking either. As soon as they finished speaking, Cai Qinghu and Jijing both took out their wallets, and Madam Cai spoke first. My husband, I'll give you the 3,000 I just picked up this morning. Jijing simply took out a stack, with the note still on it, and a neat 10,000 yuan in cash. Han Qian smiled at the two women, walked up and took the less than 2,000 yuan handed over by Yan Qingqing. Cash, smiled. I want Yan Qingqing to feel more at ease. He wanted to call Mr. Yan, but was threatened by Yan Qingqing and could only call him Qingqing. Yan Qingqing raised her fingers provocatively at Cai Qinghu. Cai Qinghu was too lazy to talk to Yan Qingqing and kicked the money into his wallet and said calmly. Han Qian, what are you going to cook tonight? I won't be eating tonight. What to cook? Han Qian held his chin and raised his head to think, then whispered. I should do whatever I want to buy for warmth. I'm not too picky about food. Cai Qinghu glared at Han Qian with his mouth bulging, and whispered angrily. I won't have dinner. Han Qian tilted his head and looked at Cai Qinghu doubtfully, frowning. Why? Yan Qingqing on the side couldn't help but speak. Han Qian, don't pay attention to her. She wants you to cook for her in a hypocritical manner. If you ask me to pay back the warm money, why are you still acting like a nanny now? 4 million is not much. I am now turn her around for you. Just when Han Qian was about to refuse, Cai Qinghu said angrily. Use you? My husband, I will give you 5 million, and you will give me warmth. You also said that I will pay for 2 Maseratis. As if she is the only one who has money, 1 million will be calculated as interest for her. While talking, Cai Qinghu stood up and was about to make a phone call. Customers like her basically didn't need to go to the bank, just making a phone call to transfer money or something like that. However, Yan Qingqing quit and frowned. Are you going to help pay back the money? You are a weasel giving New Year greetings to a rooster, but you have no good intentions. If Han Qian owed you money, you would have caused trouble to him long ago. Are you talking about me? Do you dare to say that you don't have the idea of dominating Han Qian when you help pay back the money? Yan Hu, let me tell you, Wen Nuan is the only one who has no interest in Han Qian's body. Han Qian can only owe money to Wen, and the rest it's not okay to owe anyone. Hey! My husband, you had money just now, why didn't you pay Nuan back? Han Qian scratched his head and whispered. Didn't you say you've always wanted to change your car? When Nuan is not in a hurry to spend money, I just bought it for you first. I can't save the money. Cai Qinghu was instantly moved, stood up and opened his arms. Mister, give me a hug. Yan Qingqing stepped forward, opened her arms and hugged Cai Qinghu, saying perfunctorily. That's it? Stop making excuses. Do you know that I transferred you to be my assistant, Han Qian? Han Qian nodded slightly and then said. I don't want to be your assistant. After saying this, Cai Qinghu laughed loudly, not being ladylike at all. Yan Qingqing was too lazy to pay attention to her, grabbed Han Qian's collar and said angrily. I'm testing the business capabilities of the general department. Please be honest and report to me every day after work. Oh. Aunt Ji, shall we go to the construction site to have a look? Ji Jing was a little embarrassed and whispered. The foundation is being built at the construction site. What are you going to see now? Yan Qingqing grabbed Han Qian's ears and said angrily. Don't even think about running away. He grabbed Han Qian's ears and threw him to her place, pointing at the computer and said angrily. I downloaded a lot of games for you, and you can play games here. You will get hurt as long as you leave our site. You can't go anywhere in this month. Where can I find such a boss? There is no salary, no pocket money, no need to buy your own suit, and you can play games in the general manager's office. Han Qian looked at Yan Qingqing and said doubtfully. Then where are you sitting? I sit on your lap and you hold me and play games. After saying this, Yan Qingqing was about to sit down. Before Han Qian could refuse, Cai Qinghu had already ran over and dragged Yan Qingqing away. He picked up the documents on the table and put them on the coffee table, and pressed Yan Qingqing on the sofa. Cai Qinghu sat next to her and said angrily. You work here. Yan Qingqing curled her lips and then shouted to the door. Yang Jia, go find workers to move the sofa and coffee table from my office. Ji Jing on the side couldn't stand these two quarreling women, so she said she had something to do downstairs and ran away. Han Qian looked at the two women on the sofa, sighed helplessly, took out his mobile phone and sent nursery rhymes to them. Sent a text message. Are you pregnant? Go away. Han Qian did not dare to send text messages, so he deleted the text messages on his phone and waited quietly for get off work. Cai Qinghu did not leave at noon. He called and ordered lunch. 3 boxes of lunch were delivered. Han Qian ate one box and felt not full. He raised his head and looked at Yan Qingqing. Have you finished eating? Yan Qingqing didn't say anything and handed the rice she had eaten to Han Qian. Cai Qinghu on the side said puzzledly. That's all you eat? Are you full? Yan Qingqing straightened up, patted the waistcoat line gently, and said with a smile. Eat less to be slim. Han Qian doesn't like people with fat on their lower abdomen. No wonder you are so short. Yan Qingqing was furious. Her height was her biggest taboo. Han Qian allocated half of the box of rice and returned the rest to Yan Qingqing. Then Cai Qinghu picked up the lunch box and allocated more than half of it to Han Qian and whispered. Actually, I can't finish it. I'll cook for you next time. My husband, I know how to cook too. Han Qian was slightly surprised. Really? You're not lying to me? I know now that the only people who can cook are Aunt Ji and Teacher Tong. As for Yushisai's salad dressing mixed with cabbage, the donkey won't eat it. Cabbage with salad dressing. Cai Qinghu was confused and Yan Qingqing smiled bitterly. Vegetable salad, I'm not used to eating that. It's not as delicious as the cold dish. Ah! I miss Teacher Tong's cooking skills so much. No. I invited Teacher Tong to my house in the evening. It's even more delicious than Han Qian's cooking. Have you ever eaten the food cooked by Han Qian? Yeah, I often stayed at Han Qian's house last year when I wasn't busy. He could cook. Cai Qinghu frowned and looked at Han Qian, then spoke after a long silence. I have not tried. Han Qian, who was eating, tilted his head and spoke in confusion. Ah! I don't want the car anymore, please cook for me, mister. Ah! I gave you a gift and you don't want it? Then I'll give it to someone else. Don't. We have to eat, and we also need a car. Sir, when the R8 arrives, no one is driving that pony, so you can take it and drive it. Ah! Ferrari. Let Wu Qingxi drive it? Why would a young white-collar worker like me drive such an expensive car? I've always been in the company. Before he finished speaking, Yan Qingqing continued. I'll send him away. He'll get hurt if there's no one around him. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 486. After a day's work, to be exact, I watched Yan Qingqing and Cai Qinghu fight all afternoon. In the afternoon, little Yang Jia teased Han Qian that he was the emperor, and Yan Qingqing gave Han Qian a nickname. Xiaoqianzi. Regarding this nickname, Han Qian stood up and resisted. He was obviously powerful and majestic, so why did he sign it? But resistance was powerless. Yan Qingqing said she wanted to take a look. Cai Qinghu's face was full of excitement, and Han Qian decisively gave in. Are all girls today so bold? After leaving the company, Nuan called and said that he would come over later to accompany Ci to handle the transfer of ownership. Han Qian exclaimed. What's going on? She's going to stay here permanently. Oh, why do you have so many opinions on poetry? I don't think you two have a good relationship. You even gave me a car. I want to send her a wreath, do you ask her if she wants it? Yushisai on the other side of the phone shouted angrily at Han Qian. Han Qian. Don't let me seize the opportunity. I will bear this grudge. Han Qian hung up the phone directly, got into the official car and sat in front of the TV. He looked up and watched the TV, turning a blind eye to the old man and the old lady who got in the car. He was so incompetent that he couldn't do it for a day or two. There was an unserious report on the TV. News. At this time, there were whispers from behind. Boys should also protect themselves outside. Yes, yes, especially the handsome ones. I'm drooling when I see them. Yes, yes, actually, it's not the girl's fault. Who made them wear such revealing clothes? Yet. Han Qian was stunned. Are all the little girls today so powerful? Isn't it okay for men to wear less clothes? Then he thought of Yan Qingqing and Cai Qinghu in the office. Han Qian thought that these two little girls were right. Boys should indeed protect themselves. When he got out of the car, Han Qian thought that the warmth had not returned yet and touched the money in his pocket. He gritted his teeth and stamped his feet. Han Qian walked into the barber shop. Haircut? The cheapest kind. Brother, we get $10 for a haircut and $20 for a shave. An inch. Brother, don't you dye your hair? What colors are popular right now? Do you think I'm green? After getting a haircut and washing, he left the barber shop. Han Qian gave him an extra $1 when he left. The young man was quite pitiful. He had experienced the tragic experience of his wife cheating on him at a young age. If the barber knew what Han Qian thought, Han Qian will definitely be shaved bald. No money required. He was not in a hurry to go home and squatted outside the community door to wait for warmth. Han Qian was not familiar with the people in this community. He had met them but never said hello. He didn't know that the boys on the basketball court were already waiting for him. These young men approached Han Qian to become his disciples and asked about the secret of picking up girls. Han Qian told them in an unkind way that the college entrance examination required a score of 600 or above, League of Legends to get a diamond in the first division, and basketball to be smooth without blushing or out of breath. Play the whole game, right? I can cook a table of delicious meals for my parents. The most important thing. It must be clean, absolutely. I don't know if the boys heard it or not, but the boys have less time to play basketball. The property security of the community kicked out the uncles and aunties who were dancing in the community. Many parents also got involved in this matter. Around the Chinese New Year. Master, where are you waiting for MRS when? There is a question I don't quite understand. This young man was the one who was stimulated by Han Qian. Han Qian smiled and waved to him. Don't ask me about English, physics, chemistry, mathematics, and history are okay. It's math. I'm a sophomore in high school this year. I'm pretty good at math, come on. Han Qian and the young man were sitting on the steps, studying the papers. The young man's handwriting was not very good, and he seemed to have just started to study seriously. The first one and the second one were very serious, so serious that he didn't even notice Wen Nuan standing behind Han Qian. It was the young man who looked up and saw Wen Nuan, called Master's wife softly, then got up and ran away, waving to Han Qian. Master, I can now play basketball for the entire court. Han Qian smiled and clenched his fists. Come on. Aim for 600 points in the college entrance examination, and Master will buy you a gift. After saying this, Han Qian quickly took the dish from Nuan's hand and said softly. Why didn't you drive back? He smiled warmly and sweetly. I went out with Shisai without driving. I bought groceries and came back. When did you accept an apprentice? The two walked into the community side by side, and Han Qian replied with a smile. No, just shouting and playing. The boys are working very hard. I like it very much. I'm afraid I'm asking you how you can seduce so many beautiful sisters. Don't teach your children bad things. How could it be possible? You bought pig heart? Why do you want to eat this? My mother made delicious food during the Chinese New Year. I want to eat it. You know I am not taboo on any meat. Cut. Shred it by hand. I won't do it today. Let's wait until Saturday and Sunday are off. I bought some clams. Is this spicy stir-fried okay? Just soak them to death. Already dead. The two chatted about everyday things. The young men passing by would stop beside Han Qian, bend down and call him master, and then call sister to Wen Nuan. Some young men would show off to Han Qian what they had done recently and how their test scores had improved. I am already a master in the first zone of the game. I have worked very hard and haven't put down my homework. Han Qian told the young man with a smile. You should play games from beginning to end. Play 3 hours a day and work hard for a month to reach your current rank. If you want to go into esports, you can do it, but you can't be illiterate. You can beat all the powerful game opponents you meet in a month. But, isn't it a bit embarrassing that you failed to pass a few questions? Come on. Don't forget to learn the etiquette and rules, master is just suffering from this. After saying this, Han Qian touched his shoulder. This is the secret between him and these young men. The young man bent towards Han Qian. Thank you, master. Parents who accompany their children will also smile and say hello to Han Qian. Some parents can't figure out how their son, who beat his father, scolded his mother, and played games all night at home last year, has transitioned this year. He knows how to learn and do things for them. After dinner, the clothes will be washed if they are too late to be washed, and the room will be kept clean. But a few young men hid cigarettes and would light one whenever they encountered a problem. Han Qian doesn't ask these young men to get ahead, and he has nothing to do with him. He says what needs to be said, and if you can listen, then forget it. If you don't listen, forget it. As soon as Han Qian and Wen Nuan walked into the unit door, they saw Li Jiayi coming out, wiping his eyes. The young man lowered his head and did not see Han Qian. Han Qian frowned and said, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" When Li Jiayi saw Han Qian, it was like seeing a relative. He held Han Qian's arm and cried loudly. "Uncle, I'm too tired. I'm really too tired. My mother doesn't understand me and slaps me. I'm really too tired." A slap? This is the punishment that Han Qian hates most, and he frowns and says in a deep voice. "Come on, let me go and talk to your mother. How can you spank your child?" Nuan pulled Han Qian and whispered. "No. It's not good." Han Qian frowned. "I am a child's uncle, what's wrong with that?" "But Li Jiayi, let me tell you, if you make a mistake, I will beat you harder than your mother." "Uncle, I didn't make any mistake, I just drank some liquor." "Drinking? You are only 15 years old. Are you looking for a beating?" "Uncle, I can explain." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 487. Han Qian was sitting in the living room of the landlady's house, staring at Li Jiayi who was standing by the sofa with a gloomy face. The landlady was sitting on the sofa and shedding tears. She was surprisingly warm and comforting. Han Qian looked at the sad look of the landlady and scolded Li Jiayi. "Why are you so angry with my mother?" "Li Jiayi. Kneel down." Plop. Li Jiayi knelt on the ground with a thud, and Han Qian said angrily, "Why are you kneeling to me?" Li Jiayi turned around to face his mother, and Han Qian frowned and scolded him. "You like drinking, don't you? Okay, the wine is here, let me see how much you can drink." The landlady's sister raised her head and looked at Han Qian, with a bit of worry and distress in her eyes. Han Qian shook his head at the eldest sister, indicating that it was okay. Before he could turn his head, Wen Nuan stood up and took away the liquor from Li Jiayi's hand. This guy drank like water, gulping it down. He drank more than half a bottle of 6 yuan low-quality liquor in one go. Han Qian was confused and looked at the landlady and asked in confusion. "Hereditary." The landlady closed her eyes and nodded. His father was an alcoholic and a gambler. He jumped off a building when he was drunk and committed suicide. It has nothing to do with him. I don't have a father. I only have my mother and my uncle and aunt. Li Jiayi, who was usually gentle and sensible, suddenly became manic. Han Qian raised his foot and kicked the kid, frowning. "Who are you shouting at?" With a loud voice. Li Jiai turned his head, tears fell from his eyes, fell on his pants, and cried. "Uncle, I really don't inherit it from him. He is my dad. I visit his grave every year, but that doesn't mean I forgive him. I don't inherit the wine from him. I have been drinking liquor for 4 years." After saying this, Han Qian stood up and was about to take action. When Nuan picked up the paper and slapped it on Han Qian's face, saying angrily, "Sit down and listen to what Jiai has to say. Jiai, tell the truth, why do you want to drink?" When asked this question, Li Jiai cried even more sadly. "My mother raised me by herself. The money she earned had to provide for me to eat, drink, travel, and provide me with tutoring classes. My mother earned 2,300 yuan a month without rest. Counting the house where my aunt lives, it's not easy to rent a house. If it's too expensive, no one wants it. If it's too cheap, my mother won't let it go. I need money to eat, to go to school, to take extra classes, and to do everything else. It's true that we have 2 shabby houses at home, but now this house is still paying off the loan every month." Han Qian tilted his head and said doubtfully. "Then what?" "Uncle, I don't like drinking. I really don't like it. Look at when I have a drink with you. I have to study at night. I want to pass the college entrance examination. If I earn a scholarship, I don't need my mother to be there. Thank you for your hard work. I will drink a little when I feel sleepy, the excitement and spiciness will make me sober, uncle." The child cried so hard that his voice became hoarse. Han Qian quickly pulled Li Jiai to sit on the sofa. He didn't know what to say now. The landlord's sister couldn't sell these 2 houses, and the money she got after selling them would be gone. She wanted thinking about Li Jiai's future wedding gifts, house, any major events at home, or Li Jiai's need for money to go to college. Looking at the splendor, there are 2 houses, but are the houses here valuable? Nuan looked at Li Jiai and whispered. "And you drank for so long without being discovered?" Li Jiai choked up. "I discovered it? Tu Kun discovered it? She bought me a lot of coffee and refreshing medicine. She said that she had no hope of getting into a good university in her life. She asked me to work hard with her share, but I was embarrassed. Go find Tu Kun and ask for it." Han Qian had a headache. This child had a bit of a high self-esteem. At this time, the landlady looked at her son with distressed eyes, and Nuan sighed softly. "It'll be nice if you explain it clearly. Jiai is about to take the high school entrance examination. We can't let him be distracted at this time. Sister, don't cry either. It's so heartbreaking to have such a sensible child like Jiai. I happen to buy it. I want to go out with Han Qian to eat some food in the evening, and you are giving Jiai a table of food. This is an impulsive matter on your part." The landlady lowered her head and choked. I want to chop off my hand now. Mom." The mother and son hugged each other and cried, and Han Qian and Wen Nuan left wisely. In the evening, the 2 of them sat in front of the window with 2 bowls of instant noodles and looked at the night view. Wen Nuan said softly, "Is coffee expensive?" Han Qian held the instant noodles and sighed softly. "It's not expensive once or twice, but it's not cheap to drink 3 or 5 bags this night. 1 bag is worth $1, 5 bags is $5, and a month is 150. Jiai can't always spend token money, he also needs to save pocket money. The young man is quite sensible. I am a little worried that he will become extreme because of money in the future. Fortunately, there is little Tu Kun by his side now, who can hold him back. Han Qian, you are a bad good person, a very bad good person. Your heart is softer than anyone else. I can't help it. I can't bear to see others suffer. In fact, when I was a child, I was similar to Li Jiayi. The old man didn't give me pocket money. My mother was in good health. I can take money so lightly because I have two good buddies around me. When I was a child, I didn't my children have some, and they both bought them for me. Xiao He. And Kxin, I have been with them for a long time and no longer regard money as money. Wei Tiancheng gave me 3 million today, including the 2 million Yan Qingqing gave him back for me, a total of 5 million. As soon as the words fell, the instant noodles in Wen Nuan's hand fell to the ground. The girl looked at Han Qian with frightened eyes and opened her mouth without saying a word. Han Qian turned to look at Wen and smiled bitterly. Are you scared? This is the first time I have so much money. Unfortunately, it's gone now. I spent 2.6 million to compensate Cai Qinghu for a car. The 2 million was returned to Yan Qingqing, and the remaining 400,000 was lent after Jijing. I'm still a pauper. It's so warm. I have to clean up again. Han Qian handed the half-eaten instant noodles to Wen Nuan. He stood up and went to get the garbage and rags to clean up the instant noodles that fell on the floor. Wen Nuan looked at Han Qian who was squatting in front of him and muttered, and his eyes gradually became gentle. Holding the instant noodles and smiling innocently, Han Qian raised his head in confusion, stretched out his hand and waved it in front of her eyes, but the girl didn't react at all. Seeing this, Han Qian stretched out his hand and picked up the small fork inside the instant noodles she was holding. As soon as he touched the fork, he was slapped on the back of his hand and Nuan said angrily. You can rob me of my money, but you can rob me of my food. Brother Qian, have you lost a penny again? Nonsense, how can I have no money? The words fell on Wen Nuan's doubtful and vigilant eyes, and he took out all the belongings in his hand. $1,763. To be honest, quite a few. But Wen Nuan smiled, pointed at Han Qian and laughed. Ha 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 ha, you pauper, you only have so little of 5 million left? You are a money-spreading boy. Han Qian shrugged helplessly and said flatly. That's right, I have no money, so I can only let you eat instant noodles with me. You little white-eyed wolf, your brother Qian is a pauper. After saying that, there was a bowl of instant noodles in his hand. Wen Nuan stood up and walked to the door, took his bag and returned it to Han Qian. He counted the change in it seriously and handed it to Han Qian. 237, let me round up the whole number for you. Brother Qian, I find you so cute. Even if you buy things for other women, I find you so cute. Han Qian frowned. Why are you not normal? Wen arrogantly took the instant noodles from Han Qian's hand. In desperation, Han Qian could only go and make a bowl. With Wen, there would be no shortage of instant noodles, ham sausage and other fast food at home. He came back with instant noodles. At that time, I watched Wen Nuan sitting on the floor tiles under the window, smiling innocently. I am a creditor, and I am still Han Qian's creditor. After saying that, he turned to look at Han Qian, raising his head and smiling stupidly. Hey, he. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 488. At night, Nuan lay in Han Qian's arms and watched TV. The milky smell on her body made Han Qian always curious about whether this girl had not been weaned. It didn't seem to smell like shower gel. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Suliang called and asked Han Qian to sit and chat in a cafe tomorrow. Han Qian agreed happily. After hanging up the phone, Nuan got up and said she was going to bed. She had a lot of work tomorrow. She had no words all night. It was a rare Nuan to sleep in Han Qian's room without harming him. When he woke up the next morning, Han Qian goes downstairs to cook, while Wen Nuan washes and puts on makeup in the bathroom. Everything has returned to the original dullness. I like the warmth of this kind of life, and Han Qian has adapted to it. Wen, who was slovenly at home, transformed into a cold-tempered vice president when he went out. His long black hair was freely scattered behind him. In the elevator, Wen asked softly if he wanted to get a haircut. His hair was too long and it was troublesome to comb it. Han Qian had no objection to this, but he still liked girls with long hair, so he whispered that he should cut it off a little. Nuan Wenhua tilted his head in confusion, and when he walked out of the elevator, he said he would discuss it with nursery rhymes and poetry. Han Qian drove Nuan to work. When he got off the car, Nuan told Han Qian that the car should be sent for maintenance. Recently, she drove to pick him up after get off work. Han Qian couldn't believe this. He might not forget anything. This is very unfair. If Han Qian doesn't pick up Nuan, there will definitely be a quarrel when he gets home. It seems natural that Nuan doesn't pick him up. In the coffee shop, Han Qian and Suliang sat across from each other, and Suliang said softly, "I've been thinking about it for a while in the past 2 days. Listen to what I said, and tell me if I'm wrong or missed something." Han Qian sipped his coffee and nodded gently, leaving Suliang speechless. "Lu Guangming has contacted me in the past 2 days and told me some things sideways. There seems to be no stalemate between Wei Tiancheng and Lin Mend. I feel that Lin Mend is helping Wei Tiancheng and forcing him or you into the same camp. To ease your relationship. Lu Guangming was forcibly brought into the situation by Lin Mend. They have been seizing opportunities. Even if we were not in the bar that day, this kind of thing would happen in other places. Later, in your contact with Wei Tiancheng, there may be a new plan, and I think this is a plan to make you let down your guard against Wei Tiancheng." Han Qian frowned, thought for a while, and said softly, "Why can Lin Mend know that I will definitely get money from Wei Tiancheng? There are many rich people around me, Qianling, Wen Nuan, Mr. Yan, Tu Xiao, he must think that I can get money from Wei Tiancheng? Liang I can't figure it out." Suliang sipped the coffee and said softly, "Do you still remember that Lin Mend said that when he came to pay 2 million, he didn't come up with the money, but he wanted to force you to take the money for the sake of face? If you had taken the money from Yan Qingqing at that time, I'm afraid that Luo Fu will soon say that you rely on women to survive, and even if I am rational, I will still take action." "Qian has Wei Tiancheng asked you on a date recently?" Han Qian nodded with a strange expression. "You made a date with me, well, I won't hide it from you. This guy drugged me and wanted me to have a relationship with his daughter and marry her, but I ran away." Suliang frowned and whispered, "Qian have you ever thought that this was all a plan? The conflict in the bar was just an appetizer. The main topic was Wei Tiancheng drugging you. Lin Mend forced you to contact Wei Tiancheng, but you had to go to the appointment. What happened? The relationship is small, but what if the video is taken and sent to Mr. Yan and Mr. Wen? The two empresses are only quarreling with you, but it is true that they attacked Wei Tiancheng at the same time. In the end, Lin Mend could have a hand in it. The authorities are confused, but the onlookers are clear." Suliang was able to take advantage of the overall situation, but Han Qian could only see his front and not his back. After being analyzed in this way, Han Qian's back felt a little chilly and he whispered, "Fortunately, I ran away. If I hadn't run away, the video would have been sent to my mother-in-law's side, Wen Nuan would have gone to my mother's side to cause trouble." Han Qian didn't dare to think further. Wasn't this just Mars hitting the Earth? The coffin must be of use. After taking a sip of coffee, Suliang looked at Han Qian and frowned. "Then what are you going to do?" Han Qian sighed. "I don't know. Let's take it step by step. I asked Wei Tiancheng to let me catch Gouda Pao within a week. This guy can provide the location of Gouda Pao. He is not Gouda Pao. He is not so easy to move. Well, I think I need to make an appointment to apologize to Lu Guangming. What he said outside the bar seems to be a good thing. Let's talk in a few days. Are you going to continue to rest or something? Su Liang suddenly showed a weird smile, took out a small red card from his pocket, put it on the table and pushed it towards Han Qian. Come to join in the fun? Have fun. Invitation. Han Qian glanced at the invitation, raised his head and said seriously. Decided? I may have asked a little late. Li Li's parents also agreed. Su Liang lowered his head and smiled bitterly. Li Li is pregnant. Han Qian was stunned for a moment, then thought of a nursery rhyme. Han Qian stood up, took a sip of coffee, packed his clothes and spoke at the same time. Recently, the General Affairs Department has given us both a holiday, so we don't have to rush back to the company. I still have something to do. You pay. Su Liang also stood up, looked at Han Qian and cursed with a smile. You are so anxious. My wife is pregnant and she is not your wife. You, Qianer, you said Wei Tiancheng drugged you last night. You, ugh. Han Qian covered Su Liang's mouth and gritted his teeth and growled. It's such a trivial matter for you. We are just brothers. If you don't want to kill anyone and silence us, if you dare to tell me, I will tell Li Li that I took you on 7 dates a day. After leaving the coffee shop, Su Liang sat down again, holding his chin and thinking about which girl Han Qian would harm. Hey, this guy is no longer a virgin. How much money can I exchange for this news with Mr. Yan? As soon as he finished speaking, a text message came from his phone. Don't be obsessed with money. Su Liang laughed after seeing it. Secrets between men, what to talk to those old ladies. Han Qian called Tanjio and asked her where she was. Tanjio didn't think too much and told Han Qian that she was preparing to rent a house. Han Qian took a luxurious taxi and arrived at the facade mentioned in the nursery rhyme. The place is not small. Han Qian leaned close to the nursery rhyme and whispered. Don't you have enough money for this place? Seeing Han Qian's head coming closer, Tong Yan pushed him away with a look of disgust on his face, and took another step to distance himself from Han Qian, saying with disgust. You stay away from me and I'll find a partner to open a school with. Han Qian tilted his head and looked at the nursery rhyme, frowning. Male and female. Tong Yao glared at Han Qian and growled. A man, tall, rich and handsome. Rich and handsome. Oh. Han Qian took out his mobile phone expressionlessly. Lao Luo, let me tell you that you don't need to worry about running the school. Just get the procedures back. This nursery rhyme roared towards Han Qian, shouting while tearing. It's a girl, a former college classmate. Okay, you're satisfied. She'll be here in a minute. Han Qian smiled and handed the phone to Tanjio. Then Tanjio discovered that the guy didn't call at all. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth and looked around for bricks. At this time, Han Qian suddenly spoke. Well, what should you do if you're pregnant? Tong Yao was suddenly stunned, and then sneered. Scared. Han Qian shook his head, looked at the sky and sighed softly. The boy's name is Han Ruoyui, and the girl's name is Han Yumai. How about that? You're rude, uncle. I'm not in a body that can get pregnant easily. Ah. Why should I explain this to you, Han Qian? I'll fight with you. I know, what are you shouting about? Do you have a driver's license? I'll send you a car in a few days. It's a second-hand car for transportation. Tong Yao looked at Han Qian suspiciously and whispered. Han Qian, don't you just know the taste of food and become addicted? After finishing his words, Han Qian curled his lips and said with a slap on the forehead. Don't talk nonsense. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 489. Tong Yao looked at Han Qian with contempt and said sarcastically, "What? Are you trying to support me?" Han Qian squatted on the ground smoking a cigarette and retorted without looking back. "Am I raising a monster? Am I sick or are you sick? You slept with me once and I slept with you once. We are even." Tong Yao glared at Han Qian with bared teeth, almost biting, and growled. "The first time you and I were together, I was a pretty girl. What's going on? I'm not a Hongyang boy anymore? Don't act like you're at a disadvantage. Why are you giving me a car if I don't suffer any loss? I have too much money and no place to spend it? There are many poor old people waiting for relief. I have money. I can spend it however I want. You must keep what I give you. If you don't accept it, your school will never open." Tong Yao was so angry at Han Qian's scoundrel appearance that she burst into tears. She squatted down, grabbed a stone and threw it at Han Qian. Han Qian caught the stone in mid-air and threw it back. By coincidence, Tong Yao followed Tong Yao's direction. The collar got into it. At this moment, Han Qian was stunned. He raised his hands and shook them vigorously. "Don't be impatient. I didn't mean it. It's a coincidence. It's a complete coincidence." Tong Yao grabbed the hem of her clothes and shook off the stones inside her clothes, then raised her head and glared at Han Qian. "You bastard, you forced me to do this." He bent down and picked up a brick on the ground and rushed towards Han Qian. Han Qian ran away. He was not stupid enough to think that nursery rhyme would not hit him with a brick. During the chase, a Hyundai parked in the small street. Outside the courtyard, a man and a woman got out of the car. The man was not handsome in appearance, and he wore glasses and was elegant. The driver was a woman, who must be the classmate mentioned in the nursery rhyme. Han Qian paused the nursery rhyme, walked closer and whispered, "Which one is your classmate?" Tong Yao slapped Han Qian on the back of the head with such force that he pulled Han Qian out. He covered his head with both hands and glared at Tong Yao. "Why did you hit me? It hurts." Tong Yao tilted her head and looked at Han Qian like a fool, frowning. "Why should I hit you if it doesn't hurt you? You are a bit formal. My classmate is a woman and she came with her husband." After saying this, the nursery rhyme walked towards the door of the small courtyard. Han Qian muttered in a low voice. It was hard for a dog to stop the door like this. After the two women met, they opened their arms and chatted affectionately, holding hands. The relationship seemed to be very close. Han Qian walked towards it at the same time. He nodded slightly to the gentleman and stretched out his hand. "Han Qian." The gentleman stretched out his hand and said softly, "Huang Hao, Lu Hong's husband, a not very qualified teacher. I'm also an unserious white-collar worker." A gentle handshake was considered a greeting. Lu Hong pointed at Han Qian by holding nursery rhyme's hand and whispered something. The rare Tong monster actually blushed. Han Qian glanced at the sun in the sky in confusion. "It's not hot at all. Why did you get heat stroke?" The two women discussed preparations for setting up a school, and Han Qian probably understood. This school is indeed not serious. It does not teach mathematics, Chinese, and English, but cultivates eloquence. It is like a little host who is exhausted. This business makes Han Qian's head. There were question marks all over it, and he didn't know much about it at all. He couldn't understand, so Han Qian ran over and squatted on the ground to watch the ants. Watching Han Qian walk away, Lu Hong whispered a nursery rhyme. "Is she the Han Qian you keep talking about on the phone? She looks pretty good to me, but she's not as bad as you said." Nursery rhyme whispered back. "Don't mention him. He's not formal at all. He's annoying to death. Then they helped you apply for this procedure, and now you are in a relationship. The nursery rhyme exclaimed after hearing it. Am I crazy? Me and him. I'm such a playboy. There are a lot of women around me. I don't want to seek my own death. Oh my, let's talk about work instead of him. The two women were walking hand in hand in this abandoned office building that was about to be rented. Han Qian didn't understand why they chose this place. The rent was cheap, but the decoration still required money. The 100,000 in Tong Yao's hand was enough. It was really boring to wait, so Han Qian sent a text message to Tan Jiao. After reading the text message, Tan Jiao's face instantly turned green and she whispered. Hong Hong, wait for me. Lu Hong said doubtfully. Why go? Kill someone, quickly. Tong Yao went downstairs and rushed towards Han Qian, kicked him on the calf and said angrily. Can you have something serious on your mind? I'll throw that thing away. Do you have enough money? Can I get you some? Nursery rhyme frowned and shook her head. I'm not sure. Do you have any spare money? No, you need me to get it for you, no trouble. That's no need. Lu Hong has some money in her hands. She invests it and her husband manages it. I'm just a shareholder. Are you okay today? It's nothing. Where do you live now? Just go and play if you have nothing to do. Don't bother me. Also, don't be stupid and go to anyone who asks you for an appointment. Are you stupid? This time I just drugged you. What if I attack you next time? I can still save you. Don't always have the shame to reject others. Even if you agree happily, they may not treat you as one of their own. Listening to nursery rhyme's concern, Han Qian smiled. Yes, Teacher Tong, I understand. I won't act alone in the future. Tong Yao kicked Han Qian's calf again and said angrily. It's not that I don't want you to act alone, I want you to use your brain before you act. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm going to treat the couple to dinner later, so don't be an eyesore here. Are her men serious people? Han Qian, can you have a healthier mind? Can you think of something normal? I don't know if other people are serious or not. I just know what I am like. You can leave quickly. Tan Jiao pushed Han Qian's back and pushed him out of the yard. Han Qian looked at Tan Jiao who was about to go upstairs and shouted loudly. Tell me with money. I know, mother-in-law and mother-in-law are not annoying. Han Qian left. Having had a relationship with Tong Yao twice, Han Qian has subconsciously treated Tong Yao as his girlfriend. If the classmate who came today was a boy, Han Qian would definitely not agree to her going to this school. It would be an exhausting day. How much money can you make per year? Now that his partner is a woman, he no longer stands in the way. Now as long as Tong Yao says a number, Han Qian will find a way. After all, that's what it's all about. Thinking of this, Han Qian slapped himself and cursed in a low voice. When did you become a philanderer? But it's not my fault. Han Qian thought that he had never taken the initiative to hook up with any women, but only helped them with good intentions, but why did it become like this? Back at the company, Yan Qingqing grabbed Han Qian's tie and said angrily. You abandoned your car at the company, where did you go? She's looking for nursery rhymes. What kind of school is she going to do? What's the matter with me in such a hurry? Well, I miss you. Yan Qingqing raised her head and looked at Han Qian, her face was red, and the next second she felt a chill on her forehead. Han Qian said doubtfully. Why is your face so red? It's not hot either. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 490. Yan Qingqing had nothing to do, but she was a little worried about Han Qian. Han Qian was a little tired when he came back and didn't want to play games. He was half lying on the sofa thinking about whether to go see Lu Guangming, but suddenly he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Han Qian was a little tired. Qian was a little confused. Yan Qingqing sat next to Han Qian, lifted his legs, put them on her lap, kneaded them gently, and whispered. "Why are you looking so sad?" Han Qian closed his eyes and sighed. "Something happened, and I felt uncomfortable, and I couldn't tell the people around me. The pressure I was carrying was a little bit too much." Feng Lun was not arrested. He hooked the cannon like a maggot in the tarsus. Ugh. Yan Qingqing smiled sweetly at Han Qian. "There must be a road before the car reaches the mountain. There is no rush. Let's take it step by step. What's the matter with the compensation Wei Tiancheng gave you? Isn't it convenient to tell?" "It's nothing inconvenient. I met with Suliang in the morning and talked about this matter. It was almost explained clearly. Linmend and Wei Tiancheng dug a hole, and I stupidly jumped in. Are you hungry?" Yan Qingqing lowered her head and glanced at the time, then called to Xiao Yangjia to prepare lunch. Xiao Yangjia pushed the door open and murmured in a low voice. "Mr. Yan, I'm the secretary. Your assistant is lying on the sofa. I'll give you a part-time salary." "Mr. Yan, I'll go right away. Brother Chiener wants to eat whatever he wants." When he heard about the extra money, little Yang Jia's eyes suddenly lit up. Han Qian sat up and claimed to go to the cafeteria to eat, but was stopped by Yan Qingqing, who softly told little Yang Jia to buy some dumplings, which must be made by hand. Then Yan Qingqing told Han Qian, "Don't even think about having contact with people from the general department within this month, not even after work." Not wanting to make the people around him angry, Han Qian raised his hands in surrender and asked in a low voice. "Really give my share to little Yang Jia?" This time Yan Qingqing put her legs on Han Qian's legs and smiled. "Are you feeling distressed? Han Qian, you don't take money seriously. Why are you so concerned about your salary? 3 million is just a waste, and you still have to worry about these 3 to 5,000. Hearing what was said next, Han Qian suddenly opened his eyes wide and said in shock and anger. "How much is my salary? How much does Xiao Yangjia earn per month?" 6,000, she has a fixed salary and is on call 24 hours a day. I used to be the general manager so I couldn't be too partial to the secretaries around me. Xiao Yangjia has been with me for a few years. She is a bit skinny and gossipy, but she is also the one who is most loyal to me, has not bought a house or a car now, so it's time for his salary to rise a bit." Han Qian gently squeezed Yan Qingqing's calf and whispered. "Do you know the per capita monthly income in our city? How much does the sanitation aunt and uncle earn a month?" Yan Qingqing smiled. "I know that the per capita income is 3,000, and the employees in our company only have a basic salary of 3,500. Xiao Yangjia is different. She has followed the right leader. She wants to make the company's employees understand that only by following Mr. Yan can they have a future. You idiot, don't be envious of others for having more money. Do you want me to change into a pair of black silk stockings?" Han Qian shook his head gently. "No one in such a big city pursues you. Never before. How could it not be possible? There is a very clingy person waiting downstairs in the company every day. It's useless for me to refuse. When pressed, I go to their company and tell him in front of everyone that I like his father. What about his parents? When he got divorced, I wanted to be his stepmother, and then there was no more, and he even ended up in the hospital, and no one wanted to pursue me after that. This. It should be considered a normal operation, just for Yan Qingqing." Xiao Yangjia brought dumplings, and Han Qian invited her to sit down and eat together. Xiao Yangjia was a little moved, but she still left. Mr. Yan's murderous eyes made her dare not stay. There were only 2 people left in the office, and Yan Qingqing took it. He picked up the dumpling and put it in his mouth, then patted Han Qian on the shoulder, signaling Han Qian to bite the other half. Han Qian glanced at Yan Qingqing sideways and said vaguely, "It's all lipstick." Yan Qingqing opened her mouth to eat the dumplings and spoke slightly dissatisfied. My lipstick is not poisonous. It is edible. Xiaoqianzi, can you have some common sense in life? Han Qian was furious after hearing this. I've never kissed a girl, how do I know? Oh. After finishing her words, Yan Qingqing handed Han Qian a glass of water. Han Qian didn't think too much, and just took a sip of water. Yan Qingqing suddenly pulled his tie and kissed Han Qian on the lips. Having to endure so many temptations every day, Han Qian didn't know how long he could hold on. He drove straight to the vegetable market after get off work. He hadn't cooked for several days. Han Qian had a lot of food he wanted to eat. He had money in his pocket and the convenience of a car, so there was no reason not to buy food. Mutton, pork belly, shallots, garlic sprouts, green beans, potatoes, dried tofu, peppers, baby cabbage, dried beans, surprisingly bought a frozen hairtail fish, put the vegetables in the trunk. Han Qian went to buy some more. A visit to the market cost more than 400 for fruits and snacks, and Han Qian felt that his hands and feet were a bit big. I got in the car and called Warmth. I bought a lot of food tonight. Do you have any friends who want to go home for dinner? You should cook more. No one is going to eat with us. We will heat up the rest tomorrow over the weekend so we don't have to cook. Have you bought vegetables? I want to eat the cabbage you fried. He offered to eat green vegetables, which surprised Han Qian and said softly. Is it cabbage or cabbage? The round one is crunchy. I didn't buy it. Then I'll buy it when I go back. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian hurriedly went home. I don't know why, but now Han Qian really wanted to go home and cook. On the way home, Han Qian was thinking about whether to call Lu Guangming, but after thinking about it, he decided not to. He will be there in a few days. Say it. She took off her suit when she got home and just put on her apron. The Warmth came back. Behind her were Yu Shisai and Nursery Rhymes, her only two friends. Yu Shisai looked at Han Qian, who was wearing a suit and leather shoes and an apron, and held his chin and looked up and down. Tisk, 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 you can cook and dress up so handsome, Han Qian, I suspect you are trying to seduce me. How come you are attracted to my aesthetics? Han Qian was too lazy to talk to the female gangster Yu Shisai, so he asked Yu Shisai warmly and stupidly. What attracts you to him? Let me listen and see if I find anything interesting about him. Yu Shisai smiled naively at Wen Nuan. I like the fact that he's ready to cook and wait for you to come home. Wen Nuan turned to look at Han Qian and smiled silly. Han Qian took the dishes from Wen Wen's hand and walked into the kitchen. Yu Shisai lay at the door of the kitchen and refused to leave, claiming that he wanted to learn cooking skills. He looked at Han Qian rolling up his sleeves. The kitchen knife fell rhythmically on the cutting board. The cucumber was cut into shreds and kept for later use. He turned around and took the civilized white strip chicken, broke the chicken bones roughly and forcefully, and stuffed the spices and ingredients into the chicken's belly. Then put it in the soup. Cool the fried pork belly in ice water, cut into slices after cooling, place on a plate and place in a steamer. Han Qian wanted to cook especially today. Gradually, Yu Shisai began to swallow his saliva and said softly. Han Qian, how many dishes are you going to cook? As soon as he finished speaking, there was a knock on the door outside, and Han Qian said softly. Go open the door. Yu Shisai walked over to open the door. When he saw the person coming, Yu Shisai frowned. What are you here for? My husband-in-law asked me to come, why don't I come? It was Cai King Hu called by Han Qian. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 491. lamb with shallots, braised pork with pickled vegetables, fairy chicken, sweet and sour meatballs, pork belly stewed with dried beans, stir-fried cabbage, stir-fried green beans, stir-fried pine mushrooms, screaming dry tofu, and stuffed pork rinds with soybeans, shredded pork and stir-fried shredded potatoes. 12 dishes were put on the table. Full of flavor and color, the vinegary meatballs are paired with green rapeseed leaves, and the meat is thickened with thick sauce. Cai King Hu held the chopsticks in both hands and exclaimed, "Mr. Sir, is it because I'm here that you cook such sumptuous dishes?" She always likes to make the sound of the word siang very long, and then pronounce the word crisply. She had been calling her husband for more than a month in her hometown. When Nuan was tired and too lazy to care, she picked up the chopsticks, picked up a small meatball, put it in her mouth, and said vaguely, "Cai King Hu, don't think too much. Han Qian will really want to do something every once in a while. He just wants to do it. Don't be sentimental. Believe it or not, Han Qian won't be able to eat more than a few bites of food." Cai King Hu tilted his head and frowned. "Why? Are you afraid you won't have enough to eat?" The other two girls were also a little curious, when Nuan curled her lips and shook her head. "Just watch it." "Really?" When Han Qian came out again, he was holding a bowl of egg sauce in his hand, and a small dustpan in his other hand, with green onions, cucumber strips, small carrot strips, lettuce, and new garlic on it. He sat down and Han Qian picked up the "throwing a carrot into your mouth makes a crisp sound." Yu Shisai looked at Han Qian and frowned. "Why do you want to eat carrots when there are so many vegetables? Are you a rabbit?" Han Qian replied with a smile. "I'm afraid it's too greasy. Try it and see if it's salty." As he spoke, Han Qian picked up his chopsticks and picked out a piece of meat for each of Yu Shishi and Tong Yao. When he went to pick up the meatballs, Nuan spoke. "Next time you serve food to someone, use serving chopsticks. I don't dislike you, but that doesn't mean they don't dislike you." Han Qian was stunned for a moment, then nodded with a smile, put down the unused chopsticks in his hand, and went to the kitchen to get a pair. This scene in Cai King Hu's eyes made her very uncomfortable, and she looked at Wen Nuan and frowned. "You can eat whatever you want at home. Why do you have so many rules? I think you dislike my husband." Nuan looked at Cai King Hu like a fool and curled his lips. "The two of us ate a bucket of instant noodles last night. I didn't say you disliked it. I'm worried about Teacher Tong. Cai King Hu, can you shut up now? If you don't eat it, I'll start using my chopsticks. I'm very capable. Food warms the appetite." Cai King Hu learned from experience that she didn't dare to eat too much, as eating would make her body gain weight. After a trip to Han Qian's hometown, she gained 7 or 8 kilograms of weight, which she only recently lost, but she always looks like this no matter how much she eats. She doesn't gain weight. There is no breast meat either. At the dinner table, as Wen said, Han Qian seldom ate vegetables, but mostly ate pickles. Listening to the crunching sound, the nursery rhyme couldn't help but be tempted. He picked up a cucumber, dipped some sauce in it and put it in his mouth. Han Qian looked at the nursery rhyme and smiled. "How does it taste?" "My sauce is pretty good, right?" Tong Yao nodded and said softly. "Han Qian, why do you always like to eat things out of season? Onions and lettuce are not cheap now." Han Qian chuckled. "It has nothing to do with the season. I didn't like eating it when I was a kid, but when I grew up, it suddenly tasted delicious. When summer comes, I'll cook millet rice for you. Can you eat garlic in King Hu? My husband feeds it with his own hands. Not to mention garlic, Cai King Hu also ate poison. When he ate the garlic, he licked Han Qian's finger, which made Han Qian lick it cleverly. Then Cai King Hu's face turned red, he lowered his head and took a big mouthful of rice, always paying attention to Cai Kinghu's warmth. Laughed. That's right. The new garlic is quite spicy. Let's serve it with rice. Cai Kinghu stared at Wen Nuan with a red face, and said angrily in a low voice. I'm happy, why don't Han Qian feed you? I don't eat garlic, he knows that. Looking at Wen Nuan's proud face, Cai Kinghu felt powerless. She had been unable to do anything about Wen. Han Qian ignored their bickering. Got used to. Han Qian got up and went to the kitchen to take out 4 bowls and filled them with 4 bowls of soup. The warm bowls contained chicken hearts, chicken feet, and chicken heads. She liked to eat some weird things, and these things Han Qian didn't eat. There are a pair of chicken wings in Cai Kinghu's bowl, and 2 small chicken legs in Yu's poems and nursery rhymes. The 4 women sitting here have all had close contact with him. The warm intimacy is relatively distant, but the 2 of them have been together the longest. Nursery rhyme whispered that she has gained weight recently and doesn't want to eat meat. Han Qian glanced at the nursery rhyme, held his chin and whispered. The breasts are big. The white tight short sleeves really show off your figure. Tong Yao burst out with murderous intent. Han Qian lowered his head to eat obediently. Yu Shisai secretly glanced at Tong Yao's badge, then looked down at herself, picked up the bowl to eat, covering it intentionally or unintentionally. Cai Kinghu and Wen Nuan looked at each other, and sighed. The tone was warm and low. Hey! A well-fed man doesn't know a hungry man is hungry. Why don't I grow? Han Qian definitely couldn't accept this. After the meal, Yu Shisai and Cai Kinghu both offered to help wash the dishes, but Han Qian smiled and shook his head and refused, not allowing them to step into the kitchen. He was very determined. As for Nuan, he went to find Tong Yao to find out how he got breast enlargement. Tong Yao looked at Nuan with a troubled face and whispered. You want Han Qian to rub it for you? Nuan's face turned red instantly, and he lowered his head and whispered. Then, how can we do that? Cai Kinghu took the opportunity to speak. I can, sir. Shut up, Cai Kinghu, don't forget where you are, this is my home court. Surprisingly, Cai Kinghu shut up. When Han Qian finished his work and returned to the living room, seeing several girls staring at him, Han Qian chuckled softly. Why are you looking at me? Is there any flowers on my face? Nuan lay on the sofa and sighed. Brother Qian, it's very boring. Cai Kinghu followed suit. Yes, it's boring, sir. Let's do something. Han Qian took the small matza and sat on the coffee table, took out a cigarette and lit it, smiling. What do you want to do? Playing poker and taking off your clothes. Yu Shisai's suggestions are always a little bold, and the nursery rhymes on the side are whispering. You can play with him, I won't. Yu Shisai nodded seriously. I do not mind. Han Qian was furious. I mind. Watch TV. Yu Shisai curled her lips in disdain. At this time, Wen Nuan asked Han Qian where he would go tomorrow, and Han Qian answered simply. I'm not going anywhere. I may be at home and not going to work on Monday. I have something to do. Are you 4 still bored together? Then you all go home. After the words fell, Cai Kinghu collapsed on the sofa and shouted. Mister, I'm so tired, I don't want to move. Yu Shisai said seriously with warmth in his arms. Our best friends are going to sleep together tonight. Teacher Tong, will you drive my car back? Nursery rhyme was furious and said angrily. Go de Peo is still alive. You want me to go back by myself? I can't. I won't leave if you don't leave. Hell, I can sleep in the same room as Han Qian. The warm voices were ignored by the 3 women, and in the end Han Qian could only sleep on the sofa. After taking a shower in the evening, Han Qian lay on the sofa with a quilt and closed his eyes as a reminder. I have to get dressed when I go to the bathroom at night. I don't know when I will wake up. After he finished speaking, Han Qian saw the eagerness in Yu Shisai's eyes, waved his hand and slapped himself. Isn't this a mean mouth? Late at night, Han Qian was sleeping in a daze. He suddenly felt a weight on his body. Without even thinking about it, he opened his eyes and looked at Yu Shisai, who had gotten under the quilt and was pressing on him. Han Qian whispered. What do you want to do again? You. I want a baby. I want to be a mother. Delusion, let me tell you, Yu Shisai, even if something happens to the two of us, you can't take the child away. Why? The child I gave birth to is no good. Han Qian, you can't be so domineering. As she spoke, the woman twisted around in the quilt like a mermaid, her graceful figure rubbing against Han Qian's skin. Only then did Han Qian realize that the woman was not wearing pajamas and said in shock. If Wen Nuan discovers this, neither of us will survive. She and Cai Qinghu share a room, and neither of them can get out. Han Qian. Why don't you let me sleep on the first floor? I'm afraid I'm in danger. You go down first. If anything happens, let's discuss it carefully. Don't make any moves. Han Qian gritted his teeth and groaned. Although this woman's figure was not as good as that of Tong Yao and Ji Jing, the touch made him, a grown man, unable to bear it. He hugged Yu Shisai's waist tightly with both hands to restrain this woman who moved erratically. During the stalemate, the door to the guest room on the first floor opened and nursery rhymes came out. Scumbag, are you asleep? Go to sleep. Han Qian covered Yu Shisai with a quilt and answered, then he slapped himself. Silly. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 492. Tong Yao was sitting on the imperial concubine's bed. In the darkness, she couldn't see the monster's expression clearly, and could only hear her faint sigh. Han Qian, I seem to be in trouble. Please tell me. The nursery rhyme seemed to be no different from Han Qian's, and he sighed quietly. Lu Hong and I have differences of opinion and are about to part ways. She wants to do preschool education, which is a large kindergarten, but I don't want to. I want to educate children in an educational institution that is not available in the city or province. Eloquence, an eloquence school that educates children on rules and etiquette, and trains little hosts. The psycho in the quilt quieted down. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief and said softly. If you want to do it, just do it. At worst, you don't need Lu Hong to invest in it. I'll just get it for you as much as you want. Are you so worried about this that you can't sleep in the middle of the night? No. I don't want your money. Find me a partner. Is Qinghu okay? No, she is so rich that she won't care about losses. Listening to the nursery rhyme's answer, Han Qian had a slight headache and frowned. You don't want the money I give you, not even Qinghu. What do you want to find? Tanjio turned to look at Han Qian and said softly. I want someone who owes the same money as me. Han Qian, find me one. Han Qian was slightly stunned, and Yu Shisai inside the quilt was also stunned. The child monster acted like a spoiled child. Who can handle this? Han Qian quickly spoke. Okay, I'll find it for you. I'll find it for you. Go and rest quickly. Nursery rhyme replied stubbornly. No. You tell me now, otherwise I won't know what to do. What time is it? 1 o'clock, Han Qian. Stop. Don't act like a baby. I have a younger brother. He has some spare money and wants to invest it, but he is stupid and doesn't understand the operation of this school. He can cooperate with you. I will call him tomorrow, child monster. How much are you prepared to invest? 300,000. How much money do you have to harm me in the middle of the night? How much do you have in your hands now? After asking this question, Tong Yao fell silent and spoke in a low voice after being silent for a long time. I still have 30,000 yuan. I gave Lu Shenge's 100,000 yuan to my father and kept it for my brother to find a wife for. Han Qian was trembling with anger. Yu Shisai in the quilt was holding back her laughter and shaking her graceful body. Han Qian stretched out his hand and gave her a slap. At this time, Tong Yao spoke. What's wrong? Do I have too little money? When I paid for my father's medical expenses, my father didn't want it? I. What's wrong with you? I told you that I had a relationship with a second-generation rich man, who was very rich, and then my dad asked me to buy a tractor, and I. Han Qian laughed angrily and said helplessly. Did you tell Lu Hong that you only had 30,000 yuan, so she said she wanted to open a cram school? Didn't I say that? If you want money, I will get it for you. I don't want your money, I want a partner who trusts me. Han Qian had experienced Tong Yao's stubbornness, and he didn't bother to persuade him. He lowered his head and thought about how to tell Xin without revealing his secret, without Xin guessing that he was related to Tong Yao, and without telling Tong Yao that the money was Han Qian's. Modestly cast. At this time, Yu Shisai in the quilt started to act like a monster again. Han Qian waved his hand and slapped the quilt. When nursery rhyme heard the muffled sound, she thought Han Qian was angry, so she stood up and walked to Han Qian's side, facing her face. Han Qian squatted beside the sofa with a sullen face and kissed the scumbag's face without any preparation. Is this okay? Han Qian was stunned, and then he broke into a cold sweat. Yu Shisai's hands moved around the soft flesh of Han Qian's waist. Severe pain came. Han Qian gritted his teeth and endured the pain. Nursery rhyme thought Han Qian had not agreed, so he took a deep breath. He lifted Han Qian's head, kissed his closed lips, and whispered. You're almost done. At this time, Han Qian also covered Yu Shisai's hands and breathed heavily and whispered. I understand, you go and have a rest. I'll tell him tomorrow to go and have a rest. I'm sleepy. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. If you don't leave, I will forget about it. The nursery rhyme ran away, and Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was cloudy today and the living room was dark. Fortunately, Yu's poems were not discovered. Fortunately, the nursery rhyme did not say anything. But what did these two kisses say? Listening to the sound of the door of the guest room on the first floor closing, Yu Shisai lifted up the quilt and sat on Han Qian. Only then did Han Qian realize that she was not wearing no clothes, but that the clothes were a little thin. Yu Shisai suddenly reached out and pinched Han Qian neck, growling in his ear. Yes, even if you seduce any woman, you won't seduce me. These breasts, these legs, this waist, this butt, and your face are not bad either. They are in line with the aesthetics of 1/10 of the people in the world. Keep your voice down. Han Qian covered Yu Shisai's mouth. There was no misunderstanding. Han Qian had not hooked up with anyone. He just met Yu Shisai less often. In addition, this woman was bolder, so he was a little afraid that he could not control it. Han Qian was about to collapse and whispered. Keep your voice down. What did I do to you? Did I buy you a car? The latest A7 is the only one in this color in the city. Have you come to my house to celebrate the new year? What else do you want? Yu Shisai, what are you doing? This is the third time you got into my bed, can I stop hiding from you? Yu Shisai stopped talking, let go of Han Qian's hand, slowly got off the sofa, squatted next to Han Qian, and whispered. What happened between you and Tong Yao? Why does she get so angry every time she mentions you, but she feels confident asking you to do something behind your back? Are you two in a relationship? No, you go to bed quickly, we will both die if we are found. Then kiss me. I won't kiss you. If you don't kiss me, tell Nuan Nuan that someone came to kiss you in the middle of the night. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Yushisai, I hope you can be a good person and have a good pregnancy in your next life. I will be reincarnated as your wife in my next life. Have I sinned? Kiss me. Have no choice. Han Qian could only peck her face lightly, but before he could take his head back, Yushisai hugged her and gave her a passionate French tongue kiss. In the end, if Han Qian hadn't pushed Yushisai away for fear of suffocating himself, this would have happened. The woman continues. Yushisai wiped his mouth and said with satisfaction. Keep your virginity for me. When my sister comes to take you, bye. After Yushisai left, Han Qian collapsed on the sofa. After a while, he slapped his crotch. Why are you so useless? It's intense. Han Qian curled up on the sofa like a prawn. Han Qian no longer knew what time he fell asleep. He only knew that when he opened his eyes, 4 women stood in front of him. They looked at Han Qian with warm eyes and said coldly. Who kissed me? Han Qian was slightly startled, tilted his head and said in confusion. What? Cai King Hu took out a mirror and pointed it at Han Qian. A bright red lip mark appeared on his forehead, and Han Qian was stunned. Last night, nursery rhyme kissed his cheek, not his forehead, and Yushisai didn't kiss his forehead either. Is this, haunted again? When Han Qian was confused, Nuan Nuan took a deep breath and reached out to grab Han Qian's ears. Duan. Han Qian squatted on the ground and covered his head, his eyes widened and his mouth widened. The severe pain prevented him from making a single sound. Iron-headed doll?